confirmation that we're not alone. Feels good to be blinded by the beat. I won't stop until he steps on my feet. Eyes in the dark, always watching. Eyes in the dark, always watching. Madness created by the night, passion jaded by the fright. I got the feeling someone else is in the room, like a shadow cast by the moon. Eyes in the dark, always watching. Whoa, 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 whoa. Eyes in the dark, it's always watching now.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. I want to give a special shout out to all those that are taking part in this week's Super Bowl. Shouts out to you. Wish I was out there. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I got some really great things lined up. Shouts out to Bleacher Report, and also shouts out to all of you. I'll have something coming with an announcement later on in the week. But I want to say I do appreciate your time. No matter if you're at work, you're at home, wherever you are. Thank you for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be in your ear for a few minutes. And I do want to mention the fine folks at BETUS. They are the sponsor here on the State of the Saints podcast, and I am really appreciative of them. And right now, you sign up, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. Use the promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it and talk about Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we have talked about Kellen Moore and the possibility of him being the Saints head coach. And the way things are looking, the way that the coaching search has kind of died down, the fact that you're not really hearing anything, I mean, everything pretty much indicates that the New Orleans Saints pretty much got like a handshake deal or something with Kellen Moore. I don't want to believe that the New Orleans Saints are just out here not giving us no information if they are not just focused in on Kellen Moore. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we haven't heard anything. Usually you'll hear something going on behind the scenes. There's been some reports that trying to leak out that a deal could possibly be done, but nothing really, set in stone, so to speak. So the question is, what's going on there? And also the fact that you don't have a deal in place and the most recent developments that have happened. And we talked about that on an earlier episode of the State of the Saints podcast. And if you did not check it out, I encourage you to do so. We kind of talked in detail about the happenings going on with the New Orleans Saints. And unfortunately, them being linked in with the Catholic Church and child molestation, places that you don't want to be in. So check that out. But what I'm saying is with these recent developments and things that are going on, could it hinder the process? Could it make Kellen Moore have cold feet? Could this be one of those situations where, Kellen Moore, like Kanye West, shows up and then he just ends up leaving for no reason? Because, but anyway, like, is it going to be like one of those situations, where it seems like he's going to make it, but he just doesn't get there? And, even though, Roger Goodell spoke to the media and the question was asked today, if you're watching this on a Monday, about the whole situation, he seems like he's pretty sure that the Saints are going to be absolved of any wrongdoing. But not going to lie, those emails, they look very incriminating, if you ask me. The fact that you even put yourself in that situation makes you feel like they had some level of involvement going. But I'm gonna wait for the story to come out. I mean, I guess I guess I got to pretend like everybody else. But anyway, all I'm saying is this is not a good look. And it also, when you have been dealing with a situation like this, and with the whole coaching process, and it's been so hard for you to go out here to try to find the right head coach, and then you finally get someone that looks like they pretty credible, they check all the boxes, and you want to do everything in your power to make sure that you keep things on the up and up. You don't want to scare this guy off, because if you do, then you're going to find yourself probably in a position you don't want to be in, and nobody wants that. I mean, I wasn't really high on Kellen Moore. I don't think anybody was. But based on how this whole process went, you have to believe that he's the best case scenario for what the Saints need at this particular point, with his offensive innovation, his usefulness and all the other stuff that checks the boxes. But I'm just concerned, man. I'm just concerned I haven't heard anything. Like, normally, like around this time when guys take head coaching jobs, you hear about it. Like, you'll hear about it from a source like Adam Schefter or some of these other people out here. But I don't hear anything. And it just makes you wonder, like, what are the Saints waiting on? Are they waiting on him to make his decision, or are they just kind of keeping it close to the vest? Because when they flew out to Philadelphia, they pretty much had a deal in place. They were just waiting for the Super Bowl to be over. I would hope that's the case, because if not, then it's really going to look bad. And I think that people are going to start washing their hands of the New Orleans Saints. I mean, I've already got a slew of emails. I mean, unbelievable. Shouts out to the people that have written me on stateofthesaints@gmail.com, like about how long they've been Saints fans and how this team is just making it hard for them to stay dialed in and focused, especially like some of the things that are going on. But the Saints are going to have to figure this thing out, man. I don't know if this guy's the answer or not, but I just think that Saints fans have pretty much kind of convinced themselves that this guy could possibly work. And if they can't get him, I think that Saints fans are really going to just be completely done with this team until they actually do something that's worth getting on board. I just think that the morale is pretty low here. But I'm willing to wait. I'm not one of those people that, can't be patient about a situation. I just find it weird, like, that nobody's really talking about this, and and how long the process is going, and nobody seems to know if a deal is in place or not. But hopefully the Saints can get something done. Hopefully they can get this guy as their head coach, and as a reporter and as a podcaster, I can move on, and you all can move on, and we can know where the New Orleans Saints stand. Because there's a lot of question marks surrounding this team outside of the most recent developments. I mean, you don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. You don't know what the draft process is going to look like, which I found kind of weird, like the fact that, the Senior Bowl happened on last week and there was no head coach in place. I mean, you don't know what direction that head coach wants to go in, the offensive scheme, philosophies. You don't know. Like, basically, you just out there selecting players. Like, what are you selecting players based on? What if he comes in and kind of, brings in a defensive coordinator that completely changes up the defense, or, he wants to get a quarterback or something like that. You would think that he'll want to take part in the process, unless the New Orleans Saints know that he's going to be the coach and they kind of got an idea about the type of players he would want to select. But, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But I just want the New Orleans Saints to, just get it together. My goodness, get it together, please. Give us something that we can be hopeful about. Right now, hope seems like it's pretty lost right now. And you don't want to hear about these stories, that's going around here. That's just pretty sad in its own right. So hopefully they can get it together. But I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments, man. And thank you all for those that are commenting right now. Thank you for your comments and your concerns here. We'll start with Chemo. Chemo giving a shout out to Chosen. Slim says, who that kings and queens? Big Velly is giving a shout out to Jerry. We're going to scroll down a little bit. It says Super Bowl never played yet. Says Hollow Point. Yeah, but still, you would think that a report would come out. Tampering. Anyone would be better than DA. I think that a lot of people feel that way. I'm kind of happy that Dennis Allen has got a defensive coordinating job, which is something I feel like he's really good at. I ain't got an issue with Dennis Allen as a coordinator. He can coordinate my defense, but as far as a head coach, no, sir. No, sir. That ain't it. That ain't the move, man. NFL policy says they can't announce it yet. Yeah, they can't announce it, Slim, but come on, man. How many times have we seen during during Super Bowl week or something like that, like you have an offensive coordinator in a press box or, a defensive coordinator, etc. And they he is supposed to be the head coach of this team on tomorrow or something like that. It's always something like that be going on, so I'm not saying that they'll come out and report it. I understand they can't, but you would think that somebody that's an insider or something like that that's close to the situation will probably leak that information, but you haven't heard anything. So, I guess you have to give credit to the Saints organization for keeping that type of information close to the hip that nobody would say anything, but, you would think that you would hear something. Let's see. The draft is in April 2, and they don't have a coach or a staff. Yeah, that's my biggest issue. I'm like, how do you know how to approach the draft? Right now, you just looking at everybody, right? Oh, man, I like that guy. But all I'm saying is your offense might look different. Your defense might look different. So how do you know who to kind of zero in on? You would think that that's going to be extremely exhausting for that scouting department. At least you have an idea about the type of players like Dennis Allen will want because he's there, right? Or Sean Payton will want because he's there. So I don't know, man. You'll be looking at somebody, that might be that stereotypical Saints defensive end, but they might want to go in a different direction. Now that Kellen Moore, most likely would be the head coach, maybe they'll probably embrace more of that hybrid type defensive lineman that a lot of teams have been embracing over the last couple of years. I don't know. You don't know. So I think it's kind of exhausting, to be honest with you. I just saw a hilarious interview between Jameis and Zach Bourne at the Superdome tonight. Yeah, man, Jameis Winston is working media. A lot of people are excited about that. Jameis Winston is media gold. He does a really good job, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have one heck of a life after his football life is all said and done. I'm pretty sure there's a college football contract with his name on it. He probably going to be on College Game Day or something like that. Everybody loves Jameis, regardless to how you feel about him as a football player. His personality is polarizing and he's easy to root for. So, a lot of people like to see him, because, I don't think it's a facade. Some people fake and pretend to be something that they're not. It's just funny. And it makes it more funny when he does things because he's genuinely passionate about it, and it just makes it funny. And like I said, he's unapologetically himself, which is refreshing, in a world where you have a lot of people that try to pretend and be fake and be what they feel like the world or society wants them to be. So it's good to see people that are actually embracing who they are and, and be like, man, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, it is what it is. But I got nothing but respect for Jameis Winston in that regard. With a new head coach this first year, It's just an evaluation period. No one should judge him for the first year. Give him time. I agree. I don't think anybody's going to judge the new head coach, regardless of who it is. I think people are willing to give them an opportunity, unless you just don't know anything about football and you just want to complain and whine and boo-hoo about every little thing, especially things that you know for a fact that that coach has absolutely no control over, which we have complained about for years. So I don't feel like you should be wasting your energy or, getting your blood pressure all worked up for a situation that you know more than likely is not going to be a very good one, at least to start out. If that coach does come out the gate and you find success, you have to believe that you got the right guy. It's definitely, to me, would pretty much confirm that because everybody kind of feels like the Saints organization is going to have to take a step back before they take a step forward. So whoever comes in, and if they find success early, I think that we will all have to concede that they made the right decision with whoever that person is. Kellen Moore will be a great head coach. I don't know if he'll be a great head coach or not. I just think that I don't know, man. This is feeling like I wanted to take this girl out. I wanted this guy to take me out type stuff. Like maybe I felt like this person was my first choice, but I started like, how people be, they want this over here, but then it don't work out. So we put this divine intervention into it. Like, God sent me this person, you know what I'm saying? like, oh man, God made this situation happen for me, Like to me, it's like we try to psych ourselves up. Like nobody was checking for this dude, man. Like seriously, nobody. Like I have been on social media throughout this entire process. I didn't see not one person until he was like the process of elimination. Did people start talking about Kellen Moore? Like, because he wasn't the first choice. He wasn't anybody's first choice. If you're being honest with yourself, Kellen Moore was not your choice. This is one of those situations where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like you force yourself to like embrace this dude as your head coach. Like if he ends up being the Saints head coach, like that's the guy. Like, so if it doesn't happen, even if it don't happen, like why would we be mad about a situation like this? Is what I'm saying. Like, I guess from a standpoint, like nobody wants to coach this team. That from that standpoint, I can understand you being upset, but it's hard for me to get upset about somebody that I knew from the beginning that a lot of people wasn't really checking for. Like, it's just the truth. Like, it's just all of a sudden like, oh, he said no, he said no, he said no, he said no. Okay, Kellen Moore, that's our guy. That's our guy. That's who we need. Like, I don't know what this dude gonna end up being like. I don't know if he's gonna be the next great head coach or he just gonna be some guy that just kind of passes through, just like many organizations do have. They hire a guy, they hope he works out, he doesn't, gets fired. I don't know what he will be. There's some positive things about Kellen Moore. I feel like will work as a head coach, and I feel like there's some things I want to see from him that will make me feel like he's the right guy for the job. But right now, it's like the main reason why people are starting to embrace him is because he's about to coach in the Super Bowl. Like, I already said it. Like, I have yet to see Kellen Moore develop anybody into a star. Like, I have yet to see that one player that stands out that be like, Kellen Moore put his hands on him and he's a much better player. I mean, can somebody tell me who that player is? I can't. I just feel like everywhere he's been, there's been a quarterback or a team, that's led by a quarterback that can put up some points. Like Dak Prescott, like him or not, he's pretty doggone good. And so is Justin Herbert. And, Jalen Hurts was flirting with MVP before he got there. Saquon Barkley has always been a beast. He just got hurt throughout his career. So it's not like Kellen Moore just made him better than what he was. Like, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I'm just telling you what's reality. I'm just telling you for what it is. Like, it just seems like people just kind of psych themselves up to make this guy look like he was the top choice, and he wasn't. But that's not to say that he can't be a good coach. I'm just saying, like, we weren't checking for him. Like, let's not act like You know what I'm saying? We seen this dude come in like that rap artist, oh man, I knew he was gonna win a Grammy. Like, no, you didn't. Like when this man was out here passing out his CDs outside the gas station, man, you didn't think he was gonna be a multi-platinum artist. You didn't think that, right? I mean, you seen him on TV, man. That dude used to pass out them CDs by the gas station. Man, I knew he was gonna make. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You just so happen to recognize the guy, and he ended up being what you didn't, I guess being what, he aspired to do. And I don't know, we have some type of emotional investment behind it. I don't know. But like I said, I'm willing. I got to see what this dude can bring to the table. But he wasn't people's first choice. And if you being real with yourself, I'm telling the truth. Let's see. Just saw a report that the Rams informed Cooper Kupp that they are parting ways with him. Well, that's unfortunate. Cooper Kupp has been really good throughout the years, but that's understandable, especially since you see how Puka Nacua is playing, you're more than likely going to have to be paying him top dollar to stay your number one guy. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Cooper Kupp, there was some reports about him getting traded in the middle of the season last year. So, he'll end up going somewhere. But, Cooper Kupp has dealt with some injuries, man, for the last couple of years. So I'm pretty sure he'll land in a nice spot. He can probably get himself paid. He probably could be able to deal with some a little bit of some adversity or go to a team that's going through some adverse times. Being a Super Bowl champion, being Offensive Player of the Year, you kind of willing to kind of tolerate some things when you kind of pretty much solidified yourself a little bit. You're willing to kind of tolerate intolerable things that you probably wouldn't if you didn't have the resume as Cooper Kupp has. So he's going to end up going to a team, rather it's going to be him being that veteran for a young guy, or he's going to be that guy that can come in and provide that number one until, the next, young wide receiver be able to step up and take that spot, kind of like what Adam Thielen is doing in Carolina. Want to acknowledge T. Riley. Thank you very much for the $10. Said, hey, TJ and SOTS fam. I'm back in the NOLA area for the Super Bowl. I'm okay with Kellen Moore as the new head coach. Well, I think a lot of people, are okay with it, but like I said, my issue is not the fact that, he would be a bad coach. My thing is like, I got to wait and see approach. I'm willing to, if I'm a fan, I'm willing to give him an opportunity to see what he can do, without just jumping to conclusion if the Saints come out the gate looking bad, but, I don't know what this guy is capable of, to be honest with you. Kellen Moore and Joe Brady, basically the same coach, if we being honest. Both have led great offenses and had one bad year. Joe Brady with Carolina and Kellen Moore with the Chargers. Yeah, I mean, both of them are the same, and both of them got the same narrative. Like they both are known for coaching some really good offenses, but they're led by really good quarterbacks. And my thing is what are you going to do when you don't have a quarterback as talented? As a Dak Prescott, or as a Justin Herbert, as a Joe Burrow, as a Josh Allen. What are you going to do then? When you have to develop that quarterback to be what you need him to be in order for you to maintain your job and keep the franchise going in the right direction. What are you going to do then? So my thing is, I just need to see this man develop players. I want to see him develop guys, and that would make me feel comfortable in going out here and saying that this guy's the right person for the job. But you don't know, because he has never been a head coach in the NFL. Anyone with great expectation for next season is a glass all the way full person, and I need to know what they drinking and smoking. Yeah, I mean, you have to be pretty optimistic, pretty positive, and just see like you said, see the glass definitely half full here. But it's going to be a process. And I just think that Saints fans need to, like I said, just kind of adjust your expectations. I'm not saying sit up here and just want these guys to fall flat on their face, but understand it's probably going to be some tough times unless, they just hitting the draft and, I mean, the offense just started rolling. But I think that it's probably going to be pretty tough for the New Orleans Saints for at least the next couple of years to get it together, especially if they don't do a really good job at drafting this season. He is able to get the best out of his players. That's more than what we can say about what we had, Barnes, CJ, and so many other players. Well, that's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Vic Fangio right there. CJ Gardner-Johnson, that's Vic Fangio right there. Zach Barnes, that's Vic Fangio right there. Look, come on, man. Like, I'm not trying, like I said, I am not trying to be negative. But look at this. Look at that Eagles team, man. Look at the Eagles. Look at that team. Who on that team right now can you just sit up here and say, man, they much better because Kellen Moore is here? No, come on, man. They have had a really good offensive line for years. For years. Like I mentioned, like I go back to DeAndre Swift when he was there. DeAndre Swift with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like he had a monster season. He had like his best numbers in an Eagles uniform. Let's see what he ran for. He ran for 1,049 yards and 5 touchdowns, right? That's how much he ran for. That was his career high. That was his career high in rushing yards. 1,049. And DeAndre Swift is I don't call him he's a really good running back. Solid, right? Let's go to the Bears, right? Let's go to the Bears, all right? This season, for the Bears, he had more attempts, 253 for 959 yards. He had one more rushing touchdown than he did last season with the Eagles. 229 carries with the Eagles for 1,049 yards. Average 4.6 yards a carry. This year, 3.8 yards a carry. I'm saying that to say this. If you're a great running back playing, behind the Eagles offensive line, you're going to be a super elite running back. Saquon Barkley is an elite running back. You put a prime Adrian Peterson back there. He breaking Eric Dickerson record. Put a prime, Saquon back there. He could have broke Eric Dickerson record, decided to sit. Like, this offensive line is incredible. Their wide receivers are credible. Their tight end is incredible. Their quarterback is incredible. Like, they whole team. So all I'm saying is, let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes on like, oh, man, he just completely turned this team around. This team was already good. They were already talented. So look, did his offense, are they playing his offense? Yes. Is he smart enough to see that Saquon Barkley is the straw that stirs the drink? Absolutely. But to sit up here and just say, oh, it was just, all because of him. Like, nah, man. Nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. And I don't think anybody else should sit up here and believe that either. I mean, look at this team, man. A.J. Brown, beast. Devontae Smith, beast. Dallas Goedert, beast. Like, man, like they whole team, the way that offense is structured, like they are talented. They talented, man. So I'm telling you, like, put an average running back there, he running for 1,000 yards. Put a super dynamic running back there, he breaking records. But it's not to say that, he can't coach. That remains to be seen. Kellen Moore has had 2 number 1 offenses. Dak missed 9 games 1 year. Justin Herbert missed 5 and played in a cast for another 4. I don't know how Kellen Moore will lead a team, but there's no doubt he can run an offense. And not saying he can't run an offense. It's a difference. It's the difference between, running the offense and leading a team. But to say that, okay, I'm not saying he can't run an offense either. My question is also, would that team, like, did Kellen Moore's presence make Justin Herbert a better quarterback? Did his presence make Dak Prescott a better quarterback? It did not. His numbers got better when Mike McCarthy was running plays. I'm talking Dak Prescott. Justin Herbert, like, was already good. I didn't see his game get elevated when Kellen Moore became the offensive coordinator. Maybe y'all seen it, but I didn't. So, I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, this guy hasn't developed anybody. He hasn't. I mean, he's I guess, he a decent offensive play caller, but I'm not going to sit up here and say, he developed anybody. He didn't. This Eagles team was good already, man. Like, seriously. Anybody could have ran for 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards with that offensive line. They ain't gonna run for 2,000 because, like I said, Saquon is something different. But I think people, like, if they sitting up here like making it seem like their offense is just so incredible because of his presence, I just feel like they playing themselves. ATJ, to play devil's advocate, he had Cooper Rush overhyped. Well, I mean, but you talking about Mike McCarthy? Are we talking about Mike McCarthy, or are we talking about Kellen Moore? Because that was Mike McCarthy right there. That was Mike McCarthy, helping him and making him look better than what he was. Like, that's somebody that we've seen, take a quarterback, make them look better, and the rest is history. Like the same thing with that Matt Flynn. You remember Matt Flynn playing for the Green Bay Packers? So I don't know, man. We know what Mike McCarthy can do. TJ, I feel you, brother, but let's be honest. Who have these other coaches who they got hired developed? They all had good options on the team before getting there. Joe Brady and Aaron Glenn had players. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about what Aaron Glenn do. This is what I will say. You look at the defense of the Detroit Lions, right? Aiden Hutchinson, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, like those guys, like, came there on his watch. Brian Branch is a Pro Bowler. You know what I'm saying? Flirting with all pro if he wasn't. Jack Campbell, solid young linebacker. Aiden Hutchinson, really good pass rush. So they've got guys, on this team that he has put his hands on and they developed into some really talented, really good, players on the defensive side of football. So for that, I can say that, he actually, like, developed him. But like I said, I agree with the situation with Joe Brady too, because I would have the same question marks about Joe Brady as I do about Kellen Moore. Is, what happens? And I'm not saying that they can't rise above the situation or they can't succeed. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. And, I just feel like it's just hopeful and wishful thinking that, okay, man, this dude did this. Like, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a player. I have not seen a player offensively that I just feel like, man, they're a much better player because Kellen Moore, or they're a much better player because Joe Brady is their coordinator. I just don't. And like I said, I mean, he might come to the Saints and it might just be completely different. But anybody that I have seen as a head coach, if they're a coordinator or something like that and they end up getting a head coaching job and they've gotten better, I can go back to their time as a coordinator and I can see a player or two that they actually developed and has grown in their system. So that's the way I look at it. When we're talking about, evaluating coaches, I evaluate coaches like, are you a leader of men and can you leave a player better than where they were when you found them? If you can check those two boxes, that's a start. Of course, you got to get into things like winning games that matter and, being able to make adjustments in crucial situations. Of course, that is something that is a criteria as well. But I just feel like, developing players and being a leader, those are the two qualities I feel like that can actually help you to be able to develop and grow as a coach. If you don't have those two things from the get-go, I don't feel like you're going to have a lot of success. I don't care what type of players you call I wish I could put my hands on Mickey Loomis and develop the biggest slap heard around the world. Now, I don't slap him now. I don't know, man. It's just with this whole Mickey Loomis situation, it's just funny to me at this point. I just hope that this team actually just wakes up and not do things the conventional way. But if they were to hire Kellen Moore, that's a step in the right direction, because we know that the biggest fear that a lot of Saints fans had was them kind of sweating to the oldies, so to speak, Richard Simmons style. May he rest in peace, right? The same old song and dance, trying to get the same old like-minded coaches that kind of resemble that of a Sean Payton or been around Sean Payton. So, look, someone will be hired this week besides it. Not just him, it's his whole coaching staff. He's going to get his shot. Let's go Saints. Yeah, I mean, but I'm just wondering, with the Super Bowl, this weekend, and, you got teams putting together their coaching staff. I mean, where does that leave some of these other coaches out here? And what the Saints coaching staff going to look like is my question. Josh, we all know when you're on the panel, you be on an hour. Oh, man. Oh, man. Look, man, I enjoy talking to everybody, man. I enjoy talking to all of you, man. Yeah, that's definitely, one of my highlights, Let's see. I don't understand why so many people overlooking Rattler and saying tank for a quarterback in the 2026 draft. Moore was a quarterback, so it is very possible he can develop Spencer Rattler. Look, I agree with what you're saying, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again for those that didn't check out the episode a few shows back when I was talking about it's unfortunate for Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler was not ready for prime time. I think we all can agree with that. He wasn't ready. I think that it was the pressure, that maybe the Saints organization felt, or maybe it was just how bad, the season was going, and people were clamoring for Spencer Rattler. They wanted to see something different, see something new, and I think that was the Saints organization obliging to the request of maybe looking at Spencer Rattler. I just think that he wasn't ready. I think the Saints organization knew he wasn't ready, and I think they set that man up for failure. But in the process, like I said, it goes back to what I was saying about this season, how you have a nice sample size of Saints fans that are not going to look at this team and be like, man, they're going through a process, the salary cap, aging players, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing they're going to evaluate is wins and losses. And I feel bad because when you look at Spencer Rattler, what you see is a guy that's not ready. And you also had a coaching staff, in my humble opinion, that didn't put him in the right position to succeed. And, and like I said, he was thrust into the lineup, backup offensive line, backup wide receivers, backup running back. And you expect for this man to go out there and ball the hell out. I just don't understand that. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, you can't unsee what you saw, and it's almost like somebody sitting on a bench, right? Somebody sitting on a bench, they never play, and then one of your players end up getting hurt, and let's just say that player comes into the game and he just hits 3 or 4 threes in a row, right? Now, let's just say the next time that player, the player that got hurt, comes back, it's still in the back of your mind, like, man, maybe I need to get this man some minutes. It's the same way, but it's in a different way when it comes to Spencer Rattler. Even though Spencer Rattler went into a really tough situation, he played. And you can't unsee, him throwing the ball into harm's way. You can't unsee, maybe some of them throws that wasn't accurate. You can't unsee the second half that he had, it didn't look like the first. You can't unsee that. So that's what people are evaluating. That it's like, I like him, but I don't know about him. So because you saw that, you're like, if the Saints go in a different direction of the quarterback, you're like, I kind of understand. Even though it might be for naught. He might come back the next season with the right coaching staff, right training, getting with maybe somebody that, you know, works within the league with quarterbacks and become a much better version of himself. And this whole conversation about the future of the franchise and maybe him not being it would just be, you know, a thing of the past. But like I said, you can't unsee what you saw. And even though you don't want to evaluate him the way that you would evaluate a first-year quarterback in a fair circumstance, you have no choice but to kind of look and see what you saw. Like, you can't unsee that. And I think that's what people are dealing with. So when people start talking about quarterbacks in 2026 is honestly based on their inability to not be able to forget or unsee some of the lows. There was some positive things in Spencer Rattler's game, but there also was some things that kind of stick out, and it's some bad practices that have people sitting on the bench. And there was actually one game where he ended up getting benched. So, like I said, you can't unsee it. But I agree, you shouldn't look at this man's 2024 campaign and look at it like that's just the whole story. I definitely agree that you should give him an opportunity. I'll be ripping him. Thank you very much for the $2. Says KM can't fart in the fourth quarter. This is concerning. Look, if he can't fart in the fourth quarter, he would be like on I guess like the Clint Kubiak train. Like, he looks good in the first half, second half, he can't perform. I don't know what the heck going on with that. After today's news, we should be able to understand the Saints organization, how Loomis can be Loomis. Charlie Foxtrot. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to really get into that. I did a whole entire show this afternoon. If you're watching this live on a Monday, I did a whole show about it, you know, and us, you know, talking about that. I don't want to really get into it. I didn't hear his name come up, you know, in that, but I do agree, you know, what you're saying, like this close-knit buddy, you know, vibe that they have among the Saints organization that looked very, you know, appealing and nice and cute when the Saints were winning. But, you know, when you're losing, you know, that's where you start looking at it from the other side of the coin. Like, you're losing, and normally teams, when they're losing and they're not finding certain success, you know, they end up kind of rattling the cage and heads roll, right? But you're not seeing that. You're not seeing those type of practices because they are so close-knit. So it's like a double-edged sword, it's for better or for worse. So the thing that, you know, we liked about them and made them appealing when the Saints were winning is the thing that we, you know, kind of, you know, I kind of scoff at, you know, the fact that they lose. Let's see, I already read that. Y'all forgive me, but I'm entertained. He was poised, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, there was some ups, but there was some downs too. But, you know, man, it just comes with the territory of being a rookie. It just does. It just comes with the territory of being a rookie. Like, we look at Jaden Daniels and we just look at, okay, man, that's what a rookie is supposed to look like, but that's just not it, man. Just not it. And especially like when you go into a situation that he went through, like, and you ain't have nobody out there. Mark Cooper, thank you very much for the $9.99. Shouts out to Mr. Cooper. Got to keep up with him. Let's see, TJ. I say I always go back to that magical moment when Hartley kicked the field goal to bring us there, and Troy Aikman goes, Hartley sends the Saints to the Super Bowl. Magical moment, man. Yeah, that was a magical moment, man. It's a moment that I think a lot of Saints fans in their lifetime thought they would never see. And, you know, it was a great moment, and you wish that, you know, you get a moment like that in the future. Hopefully the New Orleans Saints can. But, yes, that was a great moment in time. I'm hopeful for more, but the reality is the Saints had to leave the Lexus lot and go to the Kia lot the next day. But look, Kia got some nice cars, man. You know, you know, Kia's got some nice cars. Like, I understand what Lexus, the name Lexus, the name Mercedes means. You know, I get it, right? It means luxury, comfort. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a certain tax bracket in some cases. But ain't nothing wrong with a Kia, man. Ain't nothing wrong with a Telluride. I mean, they body spaces as comfortable as you know, as a Benz is. They fully loaded too. Sometimes, man, you just fall into like the right situation. Sometimes you end up like being in the right situation. You end up feeling like you need to go over here, but really you just need to be right here. And that may be what the Saints need. I don't know. I don't know, man. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, the Saints, you know, wasn't Sean Payton's first choice. I think we all know that, but he ended up being the greatest coach in Saints history. You know, nobody thought like he probably was going to end up here, but he did. You know, that could be the same situation with Kellen Moore. You know, that they ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with a Kia, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, you can't get like that. That's why I tell people all the time, we can't just get wrapped up on names. You know, like we get wrapped up on names on the back of jerseys, individuals, like, and a person that comes in with little to no fanfare, like, right? I mean, think about this. Think about this. And this may be a controversial take, but I'm willing to say it. Back in 2006, Reggie Bush was pretty much a household name, like one of the greatest college football players in history, right? Everybody was talking about Reggie Bush. Now Reggie Bush was going to take over the league and how Reggie Bush was going to be this, that, and the third. And then comes another guy who nobody really was talking about at all, undrafted, unproven, out of Illinois, named Pierre Thomas. And if you ask me, yes, I feel like Pierre Thomas was a better running back than Reggie Bush was for the New Orleans Saints. I will argue with anybody of that matter. Nobody was really checking for Pierre Thomas, one of the best screen runners in the game, period. If there were times that Reggie Bush wasn't even a starter, when they had the running back starting rotation, Pierre Thomas was. So if everybody just looked at Pierre Thomas, man, get him up out of here. Get him up out of here. Like, put Reggie in, right? So we can chant Reggie. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is you can't get so fixated on names and on reputation. Like sometimes it might be that unheralded guy that comes in and be exactly what you need to be able to turn around your organization, to be able to fix what's broken within your organization. So I'm not, I don't know. Like I say, I go back. I got my questions about Kellen Moore, and I say that I know for a fact that he was not everybody's top choice. But if he can come in and bring something different to the Saints organization they haven't had in the last 3 to 4 years, guess what? I don't think anybody will be sitting around here complaining about caring how he got to the city. The only thing that would matter is that he's there now, handling up on his business and helping the New Orleans Saints be a much better version of themselves than they have been over the last 4 to 5 years. So don't get so wrapped up in names. Don't get so wrapped up in, ain't nobody want him or ain't nobody want us. Like, yeah, that's the reality. And yes, it does. It doesn't feel good. But when you find that right person, that right job, that right thing that you've been searching for, it doesn't matter that you had to take the long road to get it. Doesn't matter if you had to walk across the street to get it, right? The fact is that you got it and it's satisfying to you and it means a lot to you. So I just say give him an opportunity. You don't know. Let's see. They stealing Kia's left and right. Stop playing. Let's see. That's no doubt. Says, yes, sir, TJ. Let's see. TJ is smoking good stuff tonight. All right. What are you talking about? Smoking what? I say it's like this. Let's see. Drew was the Lamborghini and Sean was the bulletproof truck. Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, they both were. I mean, they both were important to this organization. Fact, TJPL was a damn dog. PL was the beast, catch the screen and take it to the crib. Yeah, man. I mean, nobody was really checking for PL like that, but he was a difference maker Kellen Moore led Boise State to 50-3 and 5-0 against top 10 teams. Dak went from the fourth round game manager to the highest paid NFL player. Kellen Moore in 4 years gave Dallas the number 2 offense in his 4 years. Hurts best QBR. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, okay, man, I get what you're saying, but I think you got to put that. I think you got to put this offense into context. Like I said, I'm not trying to hate on Kellen Moore, but you got to put this thing into context. Why? Like I tell people all the time, this is why we can't just fall in love with stats all the time. You got to ask yourself why. Why did they have the number 2 offense in the league? Now, if you were like the Saints back in 2012 and you were just putting foots in folks, then I can understand that. A lot of when the Cowboys were ranked 1 and 2 in the league in offense, would you like to know why? It's because Dak Prescott early in the game was throwing turnovers. They were committing turnovers, making mistakes, and they had to throw themselves back in the game. That's why if you look at Dak Prescott's like mammoth numbers when he throwing for 400 plus yards and 3 touchdowns, he probably also had about 2 interceptions, and they probably lost that game. Go back and look at them. Go back and look when they were ranked like at the top of the league. Most of the time it was because they were like playing from behind and they had to throw themselves back into the football game. So yeah, you probably have the number 1 offense in the league like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to throw yourself back into the game. Your numbers are going to be inflated. It's going to look appealing. And like I said, you know, as time goes on, people are not going to remember your record or even like the touchdown interception ratio. They're going to look at the numbers and be like, man, this guy's had like one of the top offenses in the league. So I'm just saying, like, yes, they did have a top offense. But the question is, why and how? You know what I'm saying? Did they get to that point? Was it because they were just putting foots in folk? I only seen like last season in 2023. That's when I seen them like really putting a stamp on folk. When they was averaging 30 plus points at home and they didn't lose a home game all in 2023. That's when I feel like, you know, the offense was like they were rolling. They're playing a lot of catch up when Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. But yes, you know, like, yes, there are some things that he has done, you know, it's talking about with the QBR. But even with that, I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to sound like I'm just hating on Kellen Moore. So I'm going to just leave it at that. But I'm just saying all stats are not created equal. All stats are not created equal. Moore whooped Carr in college. No way he wants that man as his quarterback. He saw his BS firsthand. Well, you can't judge a dude like he in college to the pros now. They got a lot of college quarterbacks that was average in college but ended up being great. I mean, look at Tom Brady. Matt Castle. Yeah, he was pretty decent. I mean, not great, but, you know, pretty decent. Let's see. Moore wants to hire Brandon Staley if he comes here. This is a good move since Staley is the last top-tier DC available. Yeah, I mean, another guy that's a good DC, not a good head coach. Used to call Pierre Thomas LOL slippery pause because the way he slid through tackles. He was in open field. Yeah, he was out there. Yeah, I honestly feel like if Pierre Thomas didn't get hurt in that 49ers game, he didn't get concussed, I think the Saints probably would have won that football game. Because, I mean, he started off, he was hot. Then all of a sudden, Dante Whitner went out there and just realized, okay, man, we got to get this dude up out of here. And next thing you know, he slept a man. And then the Saints were basically playing in a dogfight. I'm ready for this team to get younger. I think we all are, you know, but like I said, I think they're going to hit the reset button. I think they do. I think they're going to hit the reset button. I think some things could possibly happen to make this team much better. Philip says, hey, TJ, I think Spencer Rattler needs a good quarterbacks coach to help him along the way because I see he do have a great potential and to being a really good quarterback. Yeah, I agree, man. You know, like you got to put some really positive, coaches and developers around certain players. You know, some guys need, maybe a few guys, maybe some may need one, but he does need. I think this whole entire team needs coaches that can help them develop, especially like some of these young players. If you're going to make this thing work and get yourself out of this situation, you need coaches that's going to be able to develop these young players. Let's see. Mark says a good point and valid. However, in 2021, Dallas was the number one in points, not just yards. Yeah, I mean, they put up a lot. They put up a lot of yards back in 2021. They really did, man. I can't remember what their record was in 2021. If you can help me out with that, I want to say, let me see, what was their record? I can't believe I'm out here talking about the Dallas Cowboys, man. But we got to see. Okay, so they were 12-5. They were 12-5. They were first in the NFC East, and let's see. Yeah, they were 12-5 that year. They lost in a wild card round to the 49ers, 17-23. I think they were at home that year. Hey, but let me say this though. Okay, wasn't that? Hey, honestly, you gotta look at it. Wasn't that Mike McCarthy's first year though? Was that Mike McCarthy's first year? Man, I'm just saying, like, people poo-poo on Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy is a good coach. I think people's biggest issue with him is, can he get you over that hump? That's why I was like, okay, if the Saints were to keep Clint Kubiak and it was to get somebody like Mike McCarthy, I feel like that would be a good fit for him because I feel like Mike McCarthy will allow him to call plays, but also allow him to kind of see things a little bit differently. And some of the things that he lacks, he probably would be able to help him, fix some of those things that he lacks in. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't want to sit up here and just poo-poo on Kellen Moore. He can operate an offense. As far as I'm concerned, my biggest issue is the development of players. I'm not saying that he can't call plays. I mean, you can't be an offensive coordinator this long in the league and can't call plays. You wouldn't be on your third stop if you couldn't call plays. So I'll give him that. But my question is, can you develop players? Or can you put a staff together that has a reputation of developing players? Rather it be a coach that has that pedigree, et cetera, et cetera. But you gotta put that staff together, man, because the Saints need to develop these players at work, but can't miss it when TJ goes live. I appreciate that, Jerry. Thank you. Thank you for being here. What if Kellen Moore does not want Derek Carr on his team, Saints, or if so, what quarterback would I want to replace Derek Carr as a starter? I think you got to go with Spencer Rattler, man. I mean, Spencer Rattler and maybe a veteran that can be able to compete with him in camp. If that veteran beat him out, then go with that veteran. If he beats out the veteran, then let Spencer Rattler start. That's what I would do. I think it's time for the Saints to embrace this whole succession plan. There are reports going around about Spencer Rattler and how the organization likes him, and I feel like they do. But you go into 2025 believing in Spencer Rattler. His job to lose. Like I said, bring a veteran in that can compete with him. If he beats out that veteran, then go with Spencer Rattler. And see where it goes. Like if you end up having a season from hell, then guess what? It's unfortunate, but Spencer Rattler is not your future, your franchise. But if you play awful in 2025 and things don't pan out, then you'll find yourself being in a position to draft a quarterback of the future. But other than that, I just think that you need to embrace it. Like you're not gonna get to where you need to be with Derek Carr. You're just not. Look, if we're going to come out here and say, and the reports are going to say that the New Orleans Saints, whoever they decide to have as their head coach, they have gone into 2025 understanding that the first year may not be ideal. Guess what? If you believe that the first year is not going to be ideal, why in the world are you holding on to Derek Carr? Because you only gave Derek Carr $100 million because you felt like he was a good enough quarterback to get you over the hump and to get you into the postseason. Now that we see that more than likely that is not the case, what are you holding on to him for? Are you holding on to him for pride? Are you holding on to him because, by holding on to him, you don't want people to, say or make you feel like you made a mistake, which everybody can see. It's pretty obvious that you made a mistake. You could have got a quarterback that could have kept you afloat like Derek Carr did for cheaper. Whether you like Jameis Winston or Justin Fields or one of these other quarterbacks out here, you could have got one of them. That could have been a whole lot cheaper than going with somebody that you paid $100 million to, and you were just in worse of shape as you were before he even signed with your team. So, like I said, I just think that it's time for the New Orleans Saints to embrace the future. If you're not looking at 2025 as the year, that you're going to be making a deep run in the playoffs, winning the division, and you've already accepted that, why are we sticking around with Derek Carr? I'm just saying, what are we doing that for? It makes no sense. If I know for a fact that I'm pretty much in a rebuild, why am I sticking around with a guy that's getting paid $100 million? Like, I don't get it. Now, if I feel like, okay, man, we probably can be a playoff team. I mean, probably. No, even that's a stretch. So, like I said, if you know that this might not be the ideal season, what are you trying to keep around a quarterback for that you thought that would make your situation more than ideal? If you can answer that question for me, then feel free to do so. I know Carr is not liking all this love that Rattler's been getting from the organization. Probably not. But guess what? I mean, it makes him easier to love when you're not doing everything that you can. Like, man, I don't want to say he ain't doing everything he can. That's a little bit too harsh. He's trying to do his best, but his best ain't good enough. I don't think that Derek Carr just goes up in there just tries to phone it in. I think he really tries hard to be a good quarterback. You just are who you are at this point. But if you were playing at a high level, nobody would be talking about Spencer Rattler at all. Maybe, I'm saying, like, we got something cooking on the bench. I believe in him type stuff. But you making people talk about him. Like, who talked about the backup quarterback when Drew Brees was quarterback? Most of the time, we didn't even know who the backup quarterback was. Chase Daniel might be back there. Mark Rudell, Luke McCown. Like, nobody was talking about those dudes. You only started talking about Teddy Bridgewater because he played. You get what I'm saying? You start talking about, all these other guys when the opportunity presented itself. You weren't talking about these dudes. If Derek Carr was playing at a high level, if Derek Carr was winning football games, if Derek Carr during the Saints' adverse time was putting the team on his back, nobody would be talking about Spencer Rattler at this point. You talk about Spencer Rattler because the starting quarterback leaves a lot to be desired in the eyes of the Who Dat Nation. That's just the reality. It's not me taking shots at Derek Carr. That is just the reality. When you leave something to be desired, the next guy is always going to be in the conversation. That's just the reality. I ain't never heard a team start big up in the backup quarterback when their quarterback is good. Like, I'll give you an example. When Joe Burrow went down in 2023 and he was out, Jake Browning came in and looked pretty damn good. Throwing for 300 yards, 3 and 4 touchdowns, looked straight. Man, nobody was sitting up there like, man, this dude right here, Jake Browning. Like, nah, bro, thank you, Jake, for giving us a couple wins. Made us feel good about ourselves until our guy comes back. That is what great quarterbacks make you do. Good quarterbacks, average quarterbacks, guess what? it's always going to be who should be the starter. So if we're having these conversations, you made it that way. Because if you were good enough to a point where you were just knocking it out of the park, nobody would be saying anything about Spencer Rattler. Wouldn't. I don't care if Kellen Moore can lead and motivate a team. I do think he can develop talent. He's freakishly smart. Matthew Stafford played with Kellen Moore and said Kellen would be the smartest guy in every room he was in. Yeah, I mean, there's talks and there are people that I've spoken with that covered him during the time when he was at Boise State, talk about how he's a football savant. It's almost like when you're talking to him, Mark, it's like you're talking to a college professor, a football college professor or something. Like he understands these things. Like he can cook things up. He's smart. It's not a coincidence. The year after he stopped playing football, he became a quarterback's coach. Like I said, you don't get that opportunity if you're not good at your job. You don't get that opportunity if you don't have a reputation. Like normally you have to like start off as an intern, an assistant to the assistant. This man was the quarterback's coach. Like a quarterback's coach is it's like a step up from being an offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator got the flu. Guess what? Guess who calling plays? More than likely, the quarterback's coach. So that shows you how much respect they had for his football knowledge. I'm not knocking that. My thing is, like I said, it's about checking these boxes, man, because you don't want to be in the same situation. You don't want to keep on doing the same things, like just have a revolving door of coaches, or be in a situation as a fan, where you just miserable watching the team. And you will want somebody to be able to check more boxes than they don't. And if he can, then great. The Saints hit it out the park. But if not, then going to be right back at square one. Take a few more, then we're going to get out of here. Says Moore is going to keep Carr when healthy. We can make the playoffs. The job is not bad as people think. But yes, Carr needs to go. No, look, the Saints it's a good job to have when you got some things going in your favor, like a good salary cap, a decent quarterback, et cetera, because this organization isn't like looking to fire you. Like they're gonna give you the patience in that regard. You got some leadership on a team where guys aren't going to quit. But here's the thing. This is what I want people to understand. Every single year the Saints become unsuccessful, the more you're going to have guys in the locker room that have not experienced the Saints that have been successful. Like, look around. We look at certain players that are staples with the team, like Kamara, like DeMario, like Cam, right? These guys understand the Saints were a successful team because they'd been to the postseason, made deep runs, a play away from the Super Bowl, right? But look around at some of the players that you're relying on. These guys don't understand or know how it feels to play in the playoffs. Chris Olave, never been to the playoffs. Rashid Shaheed, never been to the playoffs. You get what I'm saying? Like, Kool-Aid McKinstry, never been to the playoffs. I believe Paulson Adebo might have went to the playoffs. I don't even know if he ever been. All I'm saying is, you look at these guys, you get further and further away from the things that you value as a Saints fan. And you have a young cast of characters that don't know what that type of success feels like or looks like. And that's where you get the big issue in St. Clair. That's where the big issue come in at. Because it's like, I don't know, man. This for all my OGs out there, right? You ever been watching TV and they have like this flashback piece, and when they flash back to a moment in time when you was in your prime, like teenager, early 20s, and they looking at it like it's a period piece. Like, I was watching this movie. I can't think of the name of it, all right? But it was about this girl who ends up going back in time during a time where her sister ended up getting murdered or something like that. But her sister got murdered back in like 2005, and they was wearing all these clothes and flip phones and all that kind of stuff. And she was looking at it like she just stepped into the Stone Age. And I'm looking like, God dog, you know what I'm saying? Like I can remember like putting on, a pair of like South Pole jeans like it was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? A headband on the head. Y'all used to go to Foot Locker, get the different headband. I can remember that, right? But when you think about it, it's like that's OG stuff right there. So all I'm saying is like it may like you look at it like, okay, man, this team is straight. This team is good. Like this team is solid. And that may be. But like I said, every single year that you don't reach the playoffs, you don't find success, you're going to add more and more guys into your locker room that don't know what that feeling feels like. And you have to like basically instill it inside of them. And you're making them start to care about something that they never experienced, even though they should. But it's one thing like when you actually, it's one thing talking about war. It's another thing being in war. It's one thing about, talking about the foxhole than being in the foxhole. When you find success, when you don't find that success, probably the next year or the year after that, like it consumes you. It consumes you to a point where it's like it keeps you up at night. But let's just say somebody like Olave, it probably hurt him or something like that. But he like, ain't never been no playoffs, so he might not take it as hard as you had. Because you actually have something that you can actually compare it to. That's all I'm saying. Want to know a wild fact? I have Michael Penix's number and his wife. Not even joking. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. I would like to know like how you end up getting his number, but that's another story for another day. Let's see. A coach wants a salary cap in the green, not the red. I mean, that's in it. Yep, that'll be a start. That definitely will be a start. Definitely will make it more appealing. That you got some money that you can actually play with. The fact that you don't have no bread. Saints overpaid a mid to below average quarterback. They definitely did. They definitely did, man. But like I said, I mean, it goes back to what I said, Slim. Like, if you already pretty much made up in your mind that it's going to be a tough season, like, why are you trying to keep somebody around, that I don't know, that you paid, that you thought that would give your franchise hope, or, maybe some wins, that they didn't necessarily were supposed to get. But, I mean, they losing a team that they should be beating, and they getting beat down by the teams that they shouldn't beat, so it's bad, man. So what are you paying for? Paying $100, excuse my friend, but you paying $100 million for an ass whooping? I mean, you could get that ass whooping for less. Shoot, if I'm gonna get beat down, like, shoot, at least I'm doing it for the cheap. Now, I can understand that, but man, it makes me upset when I'm paying somebody like, like they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of, makes you feel a certain type of way about it. Jerry said language. Look, that's the only way I can put it, Jerry. I'm sorry, man. That's the only way I can put it. I gotta drive this home. Y'all know I don't, really use profanity like that. But all I'm saying is I gotta drive this thing home for people to understand. Like, look, if I'm gonna get my behind whooped, like, at least let me, do it for the cheap. Pro Football Talk said New Orleans Saints need to host the Super Bowl once every 5 years. Yeah, I mean, look, everything's like downtown and walking distance, and I mean, and it's during the time where it's like carnival season. Like, so you got parades like, revving up. like a lot of people don't understand. Like they'd be like, man, you know, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, but you got parades like that go all month long leading up to Fat Tuesday. So you're in town like when parade season is gonna start kicking off. So like those little parades that gonna be around the city. So that's pretty dope. Three-way elevator. Now I actually do a lot of sound work and pool work there. Okay. The whole community, really. Okay, man. Got to get that check, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Belt switches, extension cords, and a whooping. Yeah. Look, that's throwback right there. That's throwback right there. But I think that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. I mean, B Creole says, yes, Randy Nola showing out looking good. Yeah, man. Nola can show up and show out when he wants to, man. Like it's definitely like a place where everybody, you know, likes to go, you know, and visit. You know, like it's a, you know, it's a wonderful place to visit, like the downtown area and stuff like that. You know, tourists love going there. Like I always get a kick out of going to New Orleans with people that never been, you know, and having a good time with them. You know, just showing them like different things, and you know, it's just kind of, I guess, like erasing all those myths that they be having about certain things. You know, like they don't understand like how, you know, like you actually get beads off a float during Mardi Gras. They just think that you have to flash somebody in order to get bead, like stuff like that. Like, you know, people really believe that stuff, you know, like that, because I guess like it's certain things that you see on TV or certain, you know, little myths that they have. But you know, it's always fun, like when you go down there with somebody that not from that area. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Coming up this weekend, we will be having a Super Bowl pre and post game show on Bleacher Report. I'm excited about that. That's the reason I'm not really down there. That and you know, my boy got some sports coming up and stuff, man. And look, I'm not missing that. I'm sorry. There's not an event that I've seen that's more important than being there and watching my son, you know, play sports, man. It's pretty incredible to see that. I wouldn't miss it for the world. But we will be having, like, you know, pre and post game, talking about the Super Bowl. I got a special episode of Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones on Bleacher Report that's going to be coming up on Monday at a special time, same time, Monday at 7 p.m. Going to be breaking down the New Orleans Saints. I think that I don't know if they got tipped that more than likely the Saints are going to announce their head coach after this. The reason why they want me to go live on Monday, y'all let y'all fill in the blanks. But yeah, man, got a lot of stuff coming up. Hopefully you all join. Be here for those events. Also coming up later on in the week, man, I'm gonna be doing a new channel. It's gonna be State of the Saints podcast shorts. I did it like maybe like a couple months ago, but didn't really stick to it, man. So that channel is gonna be launching soon. It's gonna be like a brief little clips, probably episodes that I've done already, but probably maybe like a funny moment or maybe like some dialogue. You know, pertaining to a certain subject, and also kind of want to have like a little news vibe to it. You know what I'm saying? Like take a certain subject and, you know, just kind of talk about it for about 8 to 10 minutes. You know, a lot of people, you know, they want the Saints talk, but, you know, they probably just want it in shorts. So just wanted to try to accommodate that. So that's going to be coming up later on in the week as well. For those that don't know, you can come to youtube.com. For those that are watching this on X, on Facebook, you can go to youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. You can hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell for notifications, and also follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8. That's TJAY Jones 8, as well as Blue Sky. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night, morning, afternoon, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.